This story was tagged to me on Twitter by Ashton Lewis, and this is another one of those stories that literally displays the position of where black men have been put into in this establishment since they've been here. This in this picture, you see a man by the name of Carlos Weeks, and behind him is the Brooklyn District Attorney Eric Gonzalez, and this man, Carlos Weeks, spent 26 years in jail. 26 years, almost 30 years, almost 3 whole decades in jail for a murder he did not commit. He's 46 right now. That means he was in jail since he was 20 years old. He literally lost out on his entire 20s, his entire 30s, and damn near his entire 40 years as far as freedom, as far as like not having to be in the system or be in jail because of a false murder conviction. This is the tragedy that black men have to go through. Oh, black males in particular, because it could be minors as well. Look, think of the Central Park Five. This is our American horror story right here, amongst other things. The world at large had to convince you that one group of people, particularly one particular group within a gender, had to be some of the worst people on earth. Even more worse than people who have started wars, people who have pillaged groups, mass rapes, destruction, thievery, all types of stuff. They had to convince you that one particular sector was worse than all of that. And we couldn't even hold a candle to what they did. Not even close. So all they have to do is say a black man did it, and that would be it. It's a historical context behind all of that that goes back centuries. That's why I hate that film Birth of a Nation, not Nate Parker's one, but D.W. Griffin, because that right there, and probably some other things, kicked it off. And I know some other things, because remember that live stream I did about Wilmington, North Carolina. That happened a few years before Birth of a Nation came out. I wouldn't be surprised if he got the inspiration from that. Now I'm going to go ahead and read this article coming from the Atlanta Black Star. A Brooklyn man who spent 26 years in prison on a false murder conviction walked out of court a free man Thursday after losing nearly 3 decades of his life for a crime he didn't commit. I swear, this only happens to black men. Rarely will you see this to happen to any other group of men. Every time you hear a story about a black man being released from prison for so and so many years, it's usually an exoneration for a crime he didn't commit or he was lied upon. And hell, it could be black boys as well. They'll get them when they're young, and then they have to say years in jail, and they won't be released until they're adults. I have yet to hear this happen about white men or Asian men. Excuse me. Hispanic / Latino, mestizo, however you want to put it, men, Native American men, Arab men. I've never heard that from them. I always hear about it coming from for black men. And excuse me if you hear the buzzing in the background. I have so many notifications coming through. That's why I say, like, we as black men, are we really truly free? Because it's like this guy had to spend a good chunk of his life in prison on a false conviction, and now it's like he has to readjust to like social life. Yeah, I think he's been in prison since the 90s. It's now 2019. So he lost out on from the rest of the 90s. He lost out on the first part of the 2000s from 2000 to 2010, and almost lost out on the second part of the 2000s, the 2010s. And at the age of 20, his life was just beginning. So now he has to readjust to society. And it's not, and society is way different from now than it was 26 years ago. That's the part that really gets me, is because he lost out on a lot. He lost out on a lot of things. He lost out probably to be able to start a family. You know, if he wanted to get married, have children, and have a career. He lost out on that. Now, I don't know if he had any children or anything like that before he went in, but if he didn't, he lost out on that. Not to say he won't be able to do so now, but it's the fact that it would have been better when he was younger. And the system took that away from him. And I think that's what pisses me off even more, is that he, in his position, he probably would rather be deceased than having to spend his life in a box because of something he did not do. And he was stripped away of that. I've always said time is one of the most precious things on earth. And once you lose it, you do not get it back. You can get back anything. You lose some money, you can get that back. You lose a house, you can get another one. You lose your car, you can get another one. You lose a spouse, you can go out there and get another one. But time, you can't reverse that. Once it's gone forever. And he lost 26 years. He will never get those 26 years back. He can't step in a time machine and go back to 1995 before that day occurred and then switch some things around to avoid it from happening. So he would not have to lose his life to this ugly ass system of ours. And to a lie. And we're going to get on that because they reveal who the ones who lied about this. Carlos Weiss, age 46, had his conviction vacated after a key witness in the case admitted she lied. Notice it says she lied. Another lying ass bitch. The New York Post reported Brooklyn District Attorney Eric Gonzalez moved to exonerate Weeks after a review of the case found the main witnesses' two sisters were less than credible. I just want to say I'm feeling good and happy to be out, Weeks said upon being released, adding, I hope Gonzalez continues with the conviction review unit work because there's a lot of guys up in there who need it. In 1995, Weeks was convicted of murder and first-degree assault after he was accused of gunning down Frank Davis and injuring a 10-year-old girl in a shooting outside the Tompkins houses in Bedford-Stuyvesant, or Bed-Stuy. He was sentenced to 27 years to life in prison. At the time, two sisters testified they were in their 12th floor apartment when they saw Weeks fatally shoot Davis, age 21. One of the sisters, Lorraine Taylor, has since recanted her statement and claims she never witnessed what actually happened. They need to lock her the fuck up. See, that's the thing right there. If they're going to have people who are going to simply sit there and just lie and on someone like this and he loses his life to this system, they need to lose their freedom as well. Give them the same amount of time. And see, that's the thing. They don't give no type of repercussions to the people who lie about stuff like this, especially when it comes from a woman. I'm sorry, a bitch. Because in this case, that's what the fuck she is. I can't see her as any other thing. So I have to call her by her proper name. Because a woman would never do that. But a bitch would. And that's exactly what she did. Gonna sit up there and lie and say she saw this man and knowing good and damn well she didn't see him. And see, the bad thing about it is when she lied about him being there and he was the one that did it and it wasn't him, she just gave the opportunity for the person who actually did it to get away. So the person who actually did it could still be out there right now. But because she lied, an innocent man had to go to jail. And the actual killer is still free, as far as we know. Through tears, and she can save him, she told Conviction Review Unit investigators there was so much pressure to testify. So much pressure to testify. Now that sounds like something that comes out of the corrupt NYPD playbook, where they just say, oh, just say it was this guy and nothing will happen to you. That sounds like something the NYPD would do. Unless she's lying about that too. Her sister Carmela Taylor has said she doesn't remember testifying about the incident at all, nor does she recall telling authorities that Weeks was the gunman. So you have one that said something, one that didn't, but they both said that they did. Not they as the other sister, but reports said that they both did. So like I said, again, that sounds like something that NYPD cooked up. Investigators found their claims implausible and determined the siblings had fibbed in hopes of striking a deal for a family member in an unrelated case, according to the DA. Well, look at that. These two little bitches did all of that so they could get a deal struck up for a family member. So a innocent man had to go to jail because you had to think about your family member. That is some cutthroat shit right there. These bitches ain't shit, I swear to God. Despite this, Weeks said he feels no ill will toward the people who put him behind bars. Well, he's better than me. I'm great, he said, embracing his lawyers as he exited the Brooklyn Supreme Court this week. The New York man spent most of his years in jail fighting to prove his innocence. It was the effort of his lawyers who took up his case in 2015 and the Legal Aid Society that helped clear his name. This is a happy day for Carlos and his family, a long time in coming, said Elizabeth Felber, an attorney with the Legal Aid Society. But we have other clients with matters pending before the CRU. We urge that office to investigate those matters and promptly so that other wrongfully convicted individuals can experience the vindication that Carlos had experienced today. Gonzalez also apologized to Weeks for his incarceration and wished the newly freed man a heartfelt good luck. Today, we continue to see why the search for the truth must continue after a case is considered closed and the conviction has been received and someone has been sent to jail. He told reporters outside the courthouse Friday, we have to make sure we continue to root out these miscarriages of justice. They can start by actually putting consequences on the people that lied, like those two sisters. Like, what's so hard about that? They should face the same consequences as he did. But one thing he should have said was, one thing he should have said was, I want them to face consequences as well. Let me tell you something right now. If somebody lied on me and I had to go to jail for years for something I didn't do, the first thing I would request is that the people who lied on me, if they're still alive, to face the same kind of consequences that I did. Then I will milk the city of wherever I'm resources. Why not? They milked me of my time. At least let me have something that could make me feel a little bit better, because I'm not going to get my time back. So I will milk the city of its resources as much as I possibly could, and then I will spend my lost time somewhere doing something that I wish I could have done in all those years that I missed or I lost out on. I think that's poetic justice. So to anybody out there who's listening to the sound of my voice, if you are a person who's been wrongfully convicted, demand something like what I just gave you. In sidebar, I be wondering sometimes, does people in prison actually hear my videos? Because I know they have access to social media. So I'd be wondering if they actually hear some of the things that I be saying, especially when it comes to topics like these. Because I'm serious. If this happened to me, I will do everything to make the person or persons who did it to me pay. And I will make sure that I drain the city of its resources for putting me there. I don't know what kind of settlement he's going to get, because they're probably going to give him one. They're going to have to. They're going to have to give him some kind of restitution. Maybe it should be a good $2 million per year he stayed in there. I don't know. But y'all let me know what y'all think about this down in the comments, and I will talk to you in the next one.